Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have John Matthews, the president and CEO of GrayCat Enterprises. With over 25 years of retail management experience, John has led transformative projects for brands like Deluxe and Safeguard, The Body Shop, and Sylvan Learning Centers, and also authored books like Game-Changing Strategies for Retailers. Based in North Carolina, GrayCat Enterprises, founded in 2004, provides consulting services and a unique GrayCat learning series to empower multi-unit retail operations. We'll be exploring his founding story, how his business drives impact in the retail consulting space, and his vision for scaling this expertise-driven venture. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. John, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I would love to start at the top with you for our listeners here, John. If you could take us back to the beginning and really talk about what specific problem in the retail consulting landscape really inspired you to start GrayCat Enterprises.
The interesting thing is I was actually pushed by my father to be an entrepreneur. I was the youngest of six, and he had actually lost his job in the mid-50s when he was in his mid-50s, and he became a manufacturer's rep at that point, started his own company representing different companies. And he said, you know what, I'm approaching 60 years old, and if I could give you any advice, I was in my 20s at the time, he said, I would try to gather as much background and knowledge that you can, but get out on your own because there's a lot of freedom. You can make good money. You've got a lot of flex in your schedule and everything like that. And so he planted the seed in my 20s. And I always had in my head that maybe by the time I got in my 40s, I would branch out on my own. And I worked at 3 large corporations and did what he said. I gathered up as much knowledge and education as I could. And believe it or not, all my friends laugh at me. They're like, you got like a 2 terabyte laptop full of everything. I said, yeah, I've got every spreadsheet that was ever sent to me. I've got every PowerPoint deck. And I go back to all that stuff now. So I launched my company 21 years ago and never turned back.
Incredible. So definitely want to get into that a bit, the nuts and bolts of what you're doing with GrayCat Enterprise, especially for our listeners who, once this airs, John, could very well want to come and work with you and utilize the services that you're offering. So if you can walk us through a bit here of what the core offer is. I know that you do some interim executive management. You got the GrayCat learning series. What's that real core offer? How is it structured for your clients? And who is your ideal client that you do like to work with these offers?
I've had a lot of different projects, but I'll distill it down to 3 major areas that I work on. The first is strategic planning for smaller companies that want to get big. Now, I was fortunate enough to be with Little Caesars, where we went from 1,300 stores to 5,000. I was the president of Jimmy John's, where in my tenure there, we doubled the company. At Clark, which was a huge convenience store chain, we went from 800 stores to 1,400 stores, both organic growth and acquisition. So I'm used to scaling and being in situations where what you were doing today is going to change 2 years from now. If you have twice as many stores or something like that, you're going to see a different pattern. So I help companies develop strategy and kind of peek around the corner for them. And if they have 10 locations, they want to get to 50, I can tell them all the issues they're going to run into at 30, 40, and 50 stores. So I help companies scale up in that fashion. The second area is I'm a senior project manager. So this would be, consider me a vice president for hire. So a big company has a project, but all their other vice presidents are really busy with their day jobs, and they need someone they can bring in and actually execute and can hit the ground running and doesn't need a lot of hand holding. And my background in both operations and marketing, and then some departmental functions like facilities management and real estate management and things like that, I can bring a lot to the table to help manage a particular project. The third area is what you mentioned earlier, is the interim executive leadership. Companies will have a division that they want to replace maybe the chief marketing officer. They need someone who can fill the gap while they look for a full-time person. my name surfaces. I go in for 6 months, 12 months, and fulfill that role as either the chief operating officer, the chief marketing officer. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, I have clients that go out and buy a division or buy a company. They don't have anyone to run it. So they put me in as the general manager of that division on an interim basis. And I do this for Deluxe a lot. And so I've run 7 of Deluxe's divisions that they've purchased over the 10 plus years that I've worked with Deluxe. And my job is to go in and assess the people, figure out where we can drive greater revenues. How do we reduce expenses? I do this on an interim basis until they find someone full-time that can manage the reins. And then I move on to the next gig. Some of these gigs, though, last 3 years. So it's not like I'm just going in for a couple of weeks and evaluating. I actually go in and I'm doing performance reviews and I'm doing everything like that.
Hold on.
So it's good. It keeps me grounded as far as operations and down to the P&L level.
That is incredible, John. And the fact that you've seen that much success over the last 21 years on your own, have scaled brands of that stature is just phenomenal. So truly an honor to have you on the show, walking us through that journey. In your point of view, I would love to hear from you on this side, John. Where are you trying to take GrayCat now? Is this something that you're continuously trying to scale and grow, or at the point where now you have that clientele, you're comfortable with how things are? Sounds like you have a lot going on with the fractional experiences and roles that you're taking on. So how does that look for you as far as the next level?
I launched the GrayCat Learning Series 2 years ago, and there's 15 courses that are on my website at graycatenterprises.com. That's part of diversifying my offering because there's only so many hours that I can dedicate to my clients, and there's only, if you want to call them billable hours or whatever, most of my deals are on retainers. But I developed the GrayCat Learning Series because there's individuals out there that can't afford GrayCat. They don't have a project big enough for GrayCat to come in, but they can tap into my brain a little bit. And if they want to figure out how they can improve their profit and loss statement, I got a course on that, or a marketing course, or an operational excellence course. Or maybe they just need something I got a time management course and a leadership course. So things that they can go, wow, I can really become a smarter operator by taking some of these time management tips. So I'm starting to see activity there, and I do a lot of those for my clients. I do those courses live for my clients, but I do have a lot of people that just go online and they purchase a course and they do that. So I've diversified a little bit in the last 3 to 5 years with that, but in developing that. I still enjoy, the reason why I started GrayCat is I became a huge administrator in some of my corporate jobs where I had 100 people reporting to me, and I was the VP of 5 different divisions, and all I was doing is pointing my fingers saying, you do this, I do that, whatever. Yeah. I miss doing the work. I miss actually implementing. I miss doing the content. And so I like having clients that basically throw a bunch of puzzle pieces at me and say, John, we need your help to figure this out. And I sit there over time and figure out the puzzle and help them get to the next level in their businesses. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of that and solving those puzzles.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So it really sounds like that you're still really trying to grow and scale, and having that learning series is a part of that scale and growth that you're looking for, to have a bit more passive work on that side.
Yeah.
When it comes to the acquisition side, John, what channels are working best for you right now to keep those clients coming in, or to start pushing more clients towards the learning series and have them in your ecosystem? What channels are working best for you on that front?
I can tell you, Jay, it's been one channel, and thank God what came out 20 years ago was LinkedIn. Yeah. I was told about LinkedIn in 2005. I started my company in 2004, and in 2005, I think there were 2 million people on LinkedIn. And a buddy of mine said, you should really look into this. It's going to be something that's cool. And so I jumped on LinkedIn, and I've been on it for 20 years, and probably in the last 15 years, 95% of all my projects come directly from LinkedIn. It's either people are reading my blogs, they know me through the huge network that I have. It's all referral based. I can't tell you, Jay, how many times I have someone say, I've been reading your stuff for 5 years, and now I finally have a project for you. And it just seems to make sense. And then I get people that just reach out to me there. I generally only carry about 3 to 5 clients at a time. That's enough. And they're diverse. They're not all retail. Believe it or not, I probably only have 1 out of those 5 are retail. So I have a healthcare client right now. I have a commercial equipment client right now. I have Deluxe, which is a financial and promotional client right now. I sit on a couple of boards. It's more diverse than just simply I'm a retail guy. I'm pretty much industry agnostic.
Incredible. Really just all over the place. And my real question for you here, John, is how are you able to, and I know you have a time management course, but how are you able to really juggle all those roles? Is this all something that's local, or are you able to do a lot of virtual work for these companies as well? How do you juggle that as the founder?
Prior to COVID, I was on the plane a lot, and I
Right.
would, because I was running divisions and things like that. And I think 2019, I flew 200,000 miles. I was on 175 flights. Yeah. And then COVID hit, and all my clients said, we should probably just do Teams and Zoom calls. And I said, oh, this is perfect, because I can still do
great.
So I haven't traveled nearly as much, which frees up a lot of time. I will tell you, though, when I did travel, I was a time management machine. I knew that if I were on a 2-hour flight, I was doing this project on that 2 hours. If I were on a 35-minute flight, I was getting back on emails and everything like that. I shift a lot of the time. I know my deadlines. I know when people need stuff done, and there isn't a lot of idle time that I just sit there twiddling my thumbs saying, you know what, I'm not going to start that for another couple of weeks. If I can get something done today that's due in 3 weeks, I'm going to do that. And so I time shift a lot of those things. A lot of my blogs I've written, or I know which blogs I'm going to produce. And I have a master spreadsheet of the content that I put out on LinkedIn every week. And I put 3 things out there every week. So usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm putting something out there on LinkedIn. And I have a schedule that is literally in its 5th year that actually, I got a testimonial Tuesday. So I've got 85 testimonials that I rotate into that. I've got all these blogs that I've written, a couple of 100 blogs. I write for a magazine too, in one of the retail industries. So I write a monthly article on a magazine. So I get people that reach out to me there. That's how it's just that inertia of how you're constantly keeping yourself relevant out there. You're constantly trying to fill the pipeline, but you're also managing all of the expectations of your clients in a way that you're time shifting a lot of stuff behind the scenes that they're not even aware of that you're working on.
Absolutely incredible. John, is this something that you're still doing mostly on your own as a solopreneur now that you really have this down to a science, or do you have a sales team and a marketing team and a team behind you to really help you push everything forward?
No, it's just me.
Wow.
It's just me. And the thing that I really enjoy about it, Jay, is that I've actually got it so dialed in that it looks like I have a bunch of people doing this stuff, but I spend 15 minutes on LinkedIn a day. That's about it. But it looks like I'm out there all the time because I'm popping in and out and stuff like that. Now, I will tell you, some of my projects are very complex. One I did for Global Partners in Boston. They owned 1,400 convenience stores, and they're a big oil transportation company and everything like that. They brought me in a few years back, and they kept me around for 42 months. They gave me 11 projects, but one of the projects was I was in charge of all of their new store design. And so remodels, rebuilds, brand new stores and everything like that. They put me in charge of that. And they said, we need you to go out and find people that can execute this. So I had to go find an architect, a designer, a merchandising guy, a CAD CAM guy, and everything like that. They said, we'll pay them. You just manage them. And then we want you to manage some of the people on the internal team to help us build up our resources internally. Eventually, you'll work yourself out of a job. And that happened 2.5 years later on that project. They hired enough people that they were done with my services. But my job was to manage, be the key quarterback for that project. And so for those technical experts that I needed, like a CAD CAM guy and an architect and everything like that, I bring people in for projects like that.
So that is incredible, John. Incredible. At this point, with where you are, obviously you only carry about 3 to 5 clients. So you're working through those right now, looking to continue to grow the courses side and build more in there. What do you see right now as a bottleneck that you're looking to solve and break through to keep that scale and that growth going?
I really don't. I don't see it as a bottleneck. I see it more as this is my life now. This is my lifestyle. And I'm a huge gardener, and I have 2 acres here. And so I spend a lot of time out in my gardens. And when I get tired, physically tired out there, I come in and I work on my client stuff. I view my week is a 24/7 type of thing. And there are times if it's raining on a Saturday, I'm in my office doing client work. If it's sunny on a Tuesday afternoon, I'm taking advantage of it and I'm out there. So again, it's all that time shifting. And I got a great lifestyle. I have great clients that a lot of them are multi-year clients that I have good personal relationships with, as well as performing good business for them and producing for them. So I enjoy that aspect because I thought when I started my own gig, I would miss the corporate camaraderie that you have.
Right. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've been able to still maintain that with some of my clients, that especially the larger ones.
Yeah.
It's just been fantastic the way that they've treated me and treating me like one of their own. And it's a great relationship that we have going front and back with them. So I enjoy that. I enjoy the lifestyle. I get tired of using my brain. I like going out and digging a hole and then vice versa. I come back. So it's a good lifestyle. So as far as do I want to be a guy that's back to managing 100 people all working for GrayCat? I don't think so. I've enjoyed my run. I did that before. I don't need to do it again. I don't need to prove it. I've proven to myself that I can stay in business and pay the bills, and it's a couple decades worth of success.
Yeah, I think more than proven. This is you really, the fact that you're doing all this on your own, John, is truly incredible. And again, I can't say it enough. It's been an honor to have you on the show, really talking us through that and just how that your mind processes being able to juggle so many tasks. And I really hope our listeners are tuning in close to this episode because you've been giving out a lot of gold. So truly incredible. So I have one more question for you, John, before we get into the lightning round. And that's just going to be as far as your vision for the rest of this year. Where are you really looking to take GrayCat for the rest of this year, going into 2026? Paint us a picture there of what that looks like.
I've got a couple of clients, potential clients, that if they come to fruition, Johnny Matthews at GrayCat is going to be really busy over the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll be working on two fabulous projects. And one is to actually write a strategic plan for a brand new company and actually be the interim president and chief operating officer in the short term for a year and a half to do that. And then another one is actually to build a huge facility for a group of people that will have not only one main focus retail store, but some ancillary stores next to it. So almost like a mini mall. And I would be the lead for that. And that would probably be a couple of year project. So hopefully if one of those comes through, it'll keep me really busy. If both comes through, it's going to keep me incredibly busy. But you know what? I figure I got another 2 or 3 years in me. I could do that. So easy.
I love it. The garden is going to be neglected a bit though, John. I'm sad.
No, it won't. I'll just sleep less.
I love it. I love it. So taking us into the lightning round here, just a couple more questions on this side, John, before we wrap up the show. And the first is just going to be, obviously you have so many things going on. What is the most game-changing tool or resource that you've been able to utilize during this time for GrayCat, whether it's a project management strategy, an insight from your past, an AI tool? What's really been the biggest game changer for you, John?
It's going to go back to my LinkedIn. It's truly the game changer. And when I first started GrayCat, I was living in Chicago and all of my clients were in Chicago. And then I decided I want to move to Raleigh. And so I jumped on LinkedIn and I found all the players in Raleigh and I connected with them and I set up 7 meetings. I didn't talk to a single one of them. I set up 7 meetings through LinkedIn. I drove down here, I had 7 meetings. 4 of them gave me business, not immediately, but over the course of the next couple of years, I ended up doing business with them. And then it just dawned on me that when you have a tool like that, you could just pick out Spokane, Washington and say, I want to move there. And I could find all the people there and you can take your business there. Yeah. I think now with COVID and how people use Zoom and Teams and all the other video communication tools, it's just stripped away all the geographical barriers that you used to have. And so I think the tools of Zoom and Teams combined with LinkedIn, I'd like to say I could probably use AI and have a whole bunch of nameless, faceless people reach out to me, but I have built my business on relationships and I've built my business on network and performing for people. And my reputation lets me in the door to a lot of people, not some anonymous reach out through a lead generation group or something along those lines.
Absolutely incredible. It clear as day as to why you've seen so much success for so long. That is a huge piece that a lot of founders miss or lack, and that is the key here. So, last question here, John, to wrap us up, and that is just going to be, what is the best piece of advice that you can offer to our listeners tuning in right now? Just heard your incredible journey and your mind-blowing work ethic. What can you leave them with before we wrap up the show today?
Put in the work. I may sound like I'm making this sound really easy, but trust me, I put in the work. I nurture a lot of I got 10,000 people I'm connected to on LinkedIn, and a lot of them I maintain those relationships with. I know a lot about a lot of those people. I spend time nurturing my relationships. Am I talking to all 10,000? No, but am I talking to hundreds? Absolutely. And it's a long slog to get business. And the reason why I do it isn't necessarily to get the business. That's a byproduct. I just enjoy networking with people and helping people out. And they may not need me, but I may be a resource for them to find someone else that could help them do something. And if you do that enough and you give enough like that, there's enough that comes your way that will keep you busy. I can't take on 10 or 15 clients. 3 to 5 is fine. And I can make a nice living and have a great lifestyle along the way.
Incredible. Incredible. With that right there, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. John, I truly can't thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing that amazing journey and your insights with us. And as I mentioned, just clear as day with your drive, your passion, the intelligence, the experience, why you've seen so much success and why you will continue to see that until you're just hanging out in the garden all day. So truly,
which I was this morning at 7 in the morning because I knew I had to do this.
I love it. I love it. Truly, John, an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today. Would definitely love to have you back in the future to get some more updates, because I know there will be many more. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know so many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And also check out GrayCat Enterprises at graycatenterprises.com to explore their GrayCat learning series, and follow John on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/John-Matthews-00253A. For more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we are dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.